everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios.
Who do you think you are, you f***ing hack? Shame on you! Shame on you! Go f*** yourself!
It's worse than The Flash.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. Hey, you just touched my penis. Please don't do that.
It's worse than The Marvels.
Black Girl Magic!
It's worse than Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
He was watching Morbius.
He's watching Morbius on a flight. What do you watch on flights?
Not fucking Morbius. Jesus Christ.
It's going to lose more money than Madam Web.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. Hope the spiders were worth it, Mom.
It's better than Superman. Wait, what? We begin with one of the most ill-judged trailer shots of all time. Crypto knocking a bottle of beer off a shelf and onto a messy cabin floor, then taking a piss on a picture of Superman. I don't know why this movie's copped so much flack for this visual when James Gunn spent 2 hours pissing on Superman last year. You'd think he'd have plenty of time to read the room from his cuck chair, but I guess his mind is on other things. And then we get our first look at Supergirl. She's hungover, she's messy. She ignores Clark's video messages so she can go from planet to planet, drinking and crowd surfing and drinking some more. She's messy, she's real, she's ordinary. This movie tries very hard to give women under 25 a hero who is much like them. A hero they say they want, which was its biggest conceptual mistake. Never listen to women when they tell you what they want, they're lying to you.
Liar!
All the trailers went in for this performative messy normalcy, that $100 million brand partnership package, which very smart people like this walking, talking, sweeping 47th chromosome mistook for profit because Supergirl branded KFC buckets are subverting the box office, whatever the hell that means. That was all seriously targeted at the under 25 female demographic. None of them showed up, and this is evidence of misogyny, apparently. Chaps in the chat, take it from me, when women pretend to tell you what they want, you must read this as performance art. It's designed to show their female friends that they are good people, while secretly removing them from the mating game by encouraging them to be fat, sexless slob creatures.
I saw your nails and I thought, oh, yeah.
At the same time, it is about misleading their potential male fuck toy. It is all a test. Think of it like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. If you want to get to the holy G-spot, you have first to solve several riddles and fight your way through cobwebs and booby traps, so that you can prove you're worthy. Only the penitent man may pass. A woman might say, I'm fine. You're then supposed to figure out why they're not fine. You're then supposed to figure out what flavor of ice cream will make them fine, because this shows that you are caring and you're attentive, and that you have the mind-reading skills of Professor X, all of which are the bare minimum requirements to be in a relationship. I don't have time for this nonsense. It's much easier to be gay, and I recommend this to all of my friends. Based purely on box office performance, what women actually want from female superhero movies overlaps quite significantly with what men want from female superhero movies. It's called Gal Gadot?
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone.
Speaking of targeted advertising, that's a sick burn, you just don't know it yet. A quick word from our sponsor. Mochi Health is a healthcare marketplace that connects patients with board-certified providers across 120-plus conditions, from weight loss to hair loss, skincare, and more, offering next-day appointments. You choose your provider, you request a prescription, and if you qualify, you get medication delivered from that provider to your doorstep on your schedule. Obesity is one of the most critical public health issues of our time.
I'm in tremendous pain!
pain. I'm in tremendous pain. Help me, help me, help me.
It has knock-on effects on everything from self-esteem to heart disease and diabetes risk. GLP-1 medications have the potential to drive one of the biggest health increases of any single treatment ever devised, and through Mochi Health, you can procure them as part of a dedicated weight loss plan, all managed through the platform. Even where the issue is primarily lifestyle, the initial help they provide can give you the motivation to change what you need to change. And with Mochi Health, which lets you message your doctor whenever you need to, you won't be alone on that journey. Check out Mochi Health today at the link in my description using promo code F4KXET. You can get $40 off your first month's membership. Sign up today and you can secure your first appointment within minutes. Thanks to Mochi Health for sponsoring the channel. Now, back to the video. The irony is that Supergirl being a bit of a mess in this movie is actually the most interesting thing about her, and it's going to stem from a backstory that, though it is horrifically executed, is at least conceptually more heartfelt and interesting than anything to be found in James Gunn's Superman. Distrust those critics who tell you that Supergirl is just a generic deconstructive party girl. They haven't got it quite right. Supergirl's opening montage is supposed to tell you not that she is a happy-go-lucky party girl, but that she is lost, hopeless, miserable. The arc she's going to go on really isn't that dissimilar from Grace in Project Hail Mary, except that this one was written by a vagina, and so it makes no sense.
This thing bled acid. Who knows what it's gonna do when it's dead?
Character establishment done, we jump away to the first of two inciting events. Remember Rogue One?
Save the dream.
That's an aggressively mid-movie, and yet it is extremely influential. Here, we're stealing the opening scene pretty much whole cloth. The one where director Krennic's ship flies down to the planet, lands at Galen Erso's farm. Galen and his wife see it coming. They hide their plank of a daughter, they have a quick chat with Krennic, things go wrong, they die, and the daughter then has a family-based revenge motive that never quite makes it as far as her face.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
Here, the same thing happens. Look, here comes the ship. Look, there's the farm. Look, husband and wife see it coming. Look, they have a daughter. There's the villain. His name is Cringe Lord McFaggot. There's the quick chat with the bad guy. Oh dear, it all goes wrong. Everybody except their plank of a daughter dies. Now she has her revenge motive that never quite makes it as far as her face. All of that is the same, except that being aggressively mid is too artful for a modern movie, and so this is all accompanied by the most horrifically on-the-nose dialogue. Let's compare.
Hello.
Soul, it's Lyra. It's happened. He's come for us.
You know what to do.
Brigands. They've come for my swords. I guess it was only a matter of time.
We give them what they want, and then they'll leave.
If you both know who they are and what they want, you do not need to tell each other who they are and what they want, nor do you need to tell your audience. If you do your job right, the audience will learn by seeing what the bad guys are after, because the audience has these things called eyes. They'll pick it up when you talk around the subject naturally like people do, because the audience also has this thing called a brain.
Is that by?
Rogue One understands that Krennic's presence and his accomplices speak for themselves. Supergirl, by contrast, takes the Zack Snyder approach of working so hard to make the villain edgy that he becomes just existentially embarrassing.
You're a hard man to find, Galen. Farming. Really? Man of your talents?
What is it you want?
The work has stalled. I need you to come back. You're on the verge of greatness. We were this close to providing peace and security for the galaxy.
I know who you are. Krem of the Yellow Hills.
Do you know why I'm here?
My life's work. All in the shed out back. Handcrafted weapons forged from the strongest steel that you or your brigand army will ever lay your filthy eyes on.
By talking around the subject, Rogue One tells you more about both lead characters in the scene and the stakes of the movie they're a part of. Their past relationship, their shared knowledge of the project, Krennic's barely concealed desperation, his eager anticipation, Galen's awareness of the danger this represents to his family, and so on. In Supergirl, though, they just flat out tell you, evil brigand wants swords. The swords won't even play a significant role in what follows. And then finally, by way of comparison, Galen's wife in Rogue One sees where things are inevitably going and is so desperate not to lose her husband to the Empire that she acts rashly and gets herself killed, leaving Galen with no choice but to go with Krennic, hoping that his acquiescence will at least save his daughter. In Supergirl, things go wrong because surprise brother jumps out of a closet and goes, "Ooga booga!" So let me get this straight, you knew that a bunch of murderous bandits were coming and you had ample time to prepare, and you didn't think to tell your son? The stupidity doesn't stop there. Galen in Rogue One has no way of defeating the Empire with force of arms, but here the dad does. If you'd pressed that while the ship was landing, Cringelord McFaggins would be dead, and your dumb and useless family, they would still be alive. I know, I said I was done with the comparisons, but like a woman, I lied. In Rogue One, little Jyn Erso is hidden from the Empire. They can't find her. She's rescued later by Saw Gerrera. Otherwise, Krennic would likely have taken her and used her to keep Galen in line. But in this movie, daughter is just standing right there, and Cringelord McFaggins, he just leaves her because the movie needs her to be alive later. It's bad enough when your goal in this scene is to show that Cringelord goes in for indiscriminate murder, but it's even worse when you learn later what his group habitually does with young girls. And that's it for the fam. They're all dead because the dad's a moron, and the now shipless Cringe Squad walks off with all those swords they came to steal. Oh, except this one. Daughter gets to keep this one, so she can never use it in the film. Not even once. We then jump away and pick up with Supergirl drinking in yet another dive, toasting her 22nd birthday with herself. This is a serviceable touch. It's designed to show you that for all the people she drinks around, she is almost completely alone. Almost, save for that fucking dog.
Alright, got him!
You are therefore supposed to glean, because she basically tells you this explicitly, that she's hopping around red sun planets in a desperate bid to feel anything at all.
Maybe we were meant to be red sun folks, you know? The kinds who feel things, like punch in the face, and like shots of like whatever this is. It's really good, you know? Maybe this is home.
This aspect of her character isn't bad. Yet. It's about as subtle as this movie's ever going to get, and the problem with subtlety is that it requires charity on the part of the audience. The audience has to go in expecting it, and they need to have good reason to believe that this expectation, this investment, will be rewarded. Supergirl's marketing did quite a lot to preclude this expectation. The movie definitely does not reward this expectation, but neither have dozens more superhero movies in general, and female superhero movies in particular. The audience, predominantly male because women didn't bother to show up for the things they say they want, and this is apparently sexism, the audience recognizes patterns. It is bored and impatient of movies telling it that basic male standards and behavior are toxic and inadequate, while basic female standards of behavior are too much to ask. The audience saw the trailers. The audience made the entirely justified assumption that this was yet another movie celebrating the collapse in the quality, morality, and the ethics of women. And the audience thought, yeah, fuck that. As mentioned, the movie actually isn't about that, but it does a terrible job at showing you what it really is about, and so word of mouth cannot salvage it. One way in which it's terrible is that Miss Nogueira, the writer, is about as good at this writing business as your average woman is at parallel parking.
Drip bike! Drip bike! Oh my god, she did it. Yeah!
And she's constructed her screenplay entirely out of and then statements.
But we can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words and then belong between those beats, you're f***ed, basically. You got something pretty boring. What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but.
And then who should enter the bar but the daughter from earlier, whose name we shall learn in due course is Ruthie, but who we shall call Brick, because this describes her acting range.
I am Ruthie Marino of the Dynastia clan, and I come here with one purpose. Seek revenge against Creme of the Yellow Hills.
The inspiration here is quite plainly True Grit. Precocious young girl leaves rustic family home to seek vengeance against her father's killer, attaches herself to drunk and reluctant helper, encounters in due course a third party tracking the same target for entirely separate reasons, eventually finds vengeance. The problem, which quickly becomes apparent, is that Miss Nogueira has borrowed so heavily from the plot of a movie she doesn't understand, meaning we get none of the character work that really makes sense of the story, and especially of the theme. We learned Brick's motive in the prologue. We've relearned it here. We will relearn it here.
I am Ruthie Marino of the Dynastia clan, and I come here to seek revenge.
Yeah, some guy named Cream.
And we will relearn it here.
I am Ruthie Marino of the Dynastia clan, and I come here with one purpose. To seek revenge against Creme of the Yellow Hills.
And we will learn basically nothing else about her for the entire runtime of the film. Mattie Ross in True Grit learns and grows by the end of the movie. She becomes. Brick in Supergirl has to do nothing. Her doing nothing is actually the point of her entire arc, such as it is.
I shall do the job myself.
The most relatable thing about her is that she comes in from the countryside to a dynamic and multicultural inner-city establishment, and she immediately gets robbed. But this is also pretty much the last time her inexperience and naivety really impacts the plot. A conventional thing might be to have her stubborn and assertive, annoying her more experienced mentor, then suffering a bout of hubris, throwing herself into a situation she's not ready for, getting knocked down and needing to be rescued. Basic stuff, you've seen it a dozen times before, but even that is too much to ask of Ms. Nogueira. Maybe, just maybe, handing $170 million to a writer whose professional experience would leave most of a sticky note empty, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, James. Supergirl herself at least gets the vaguest hint of character work as she steps outside to get the sword back off of generic alien. Here we're supposed to learn that despite being a lonely drunk, she has moral sensibilities.
You're looking bleeding.
And here we're supposed to read that she is so depressed, her life is such an emotional vacuum, that pain is enjoyable to her. But one of Ms. Nogueira's many faults is that she struggles to spin more than one plate at a time. This is a red sun planet, not that you'd have guessed that from the surroundings. More of a fault with the director than the writer, admittedly. In the director of Cruella, James Gunn hired a man with no apparent interest in science fiction, superheroes, or basic competence.
Within that discussion, I said to James, how much do you want this to be within your world? And surprisingly, he was like, not at all.
There is more implied testosterone in Millie Alcock's name than there is in Mr. Gillespie. All you'd have to do is set this earlier in the evening and put a red filter on it, for fuck's sake. But of Ms. Nogueira's plate spinning problem, this is a red sun planet. Supergirl has no powers here. It's the reason she's able to bleed more than once a month. It's the reason she's able to feel this pain that delights her, but it should really preclude her winning this fight in this way. Look at the size of that fucking alien. I don't believe she could even lift that, never mind knock him out with it. You could have used this to tell us more about Supergirl. If you'd really leaned into how gritty, almost bitterly determined she can be, if you'd seen her literally crawling, scratching, biting, maybe generic alien number one has a knife on his belt and she just about manages to grab him and stab him with it and get him on the floor and stab him repeatedly again, then you'd show that absent her nominal powers, her real power is this anger, this desperation, even this pain that she's feeling, her true grit, if you will. You could do all of this while actually accounting for her obvious physical limitations. She is the size of a hobbit. Without her powers, she can't be overpowering anyone. This, in my rewritten version, would be the moment not to tell jokes or to establish a comedically lightweight tone, but to break with that tone entirely and drop your clearest hint yet that this is not some party girl. This is someone with a real and desperate anger at the world she is in. Which leads us to the second change the story kind of requires. This movie's going to throw in, right at the end, a lesson on revenge. It's going to have Supergirl say that revenge is bad, that it cannot fix what's wrong with you.
Because it'll mess you up. You think it'll make you feel better? It won't. It'll harm you for the rest of your life. But if you kill him, it won't take your pain away.
The problem is that we've never seen her take revenge. Revenge isn't actually her thing. She has no experience with it. The movie doesn't give her the experience to justify the lesson. You could give her a revenge motive, not against anybody in particular, but against the world that's taken so much from her. You could show it in the extent of the brutality she's prepared to unleash on criminals like this. She should be constantly trying to wreak revenge against whoever crosses her, so she can learn the lesson about its futility, so she can impart this lesson later. If you're going to make shunning revenge your theme, then you need something like this, and this was the time to introduce it. But Ms. Nogueira doesn't seem to be capable of complex thoughts, and so this scene, though it's not redundant, is borderline myopic. We learned a thing about Supergirl when we could and should have learned so much more.
Believe this is yours?
Thank you.
Supergirl wakes up next morning and Clark calls again. This gives us an interesting point of comparison. Here is the trailer shot of this scene.
Hey, I was just touching base to see when you think you might be coming back. You know, I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off-world all the time, Kara. I'm worried you're not going to find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark. I have no people.
And here is the version we actually got.
Well, that's the thing, Clark. I have no people.
Now, we know this movie went through production hell. It was recut multiple times. It's about 20 minutes shorter than its original version. Test audiences saw at least 3 different endings. They originally had Ramin Djawadi composing the score, then some guy called Junkie XL, then some bint called Claudia San.
Claudia, you're the first woman composer for the DC universe. How did this high-profile movie come your way?
A little bit by default, honestly.
Whose job seems to have been implementing James Gunn's mixtape.
It's interesting that in terms of gender, there's a woman editor on this project, and there's obviously a woman screenwriter. So to me, it just simply makes sense to choose a woman to score Supergirl.
Yep, that's the idea.
The first cut I showed there, the trailer cut, is obviously more sincere and weighty than the film version, both in delivery, the pause, the emphasis, and in staging. Whatever Supergirl was doing before delivering that line in the trailer, that line was important enough for her to stop. Whereas in the theatrical version, it is less weighty, it's flippant, it's maybe even evasive, but it doesn't stop anyone in their tracks. I think if you combine that with the fact Djawadi left the project, you get the sense that the project was maybe made less self-serious in tone. In other words, more like a James Gunn movie. Which would also explain why the movie has one of the evilest villains in superhero media, and a couple of scenes at most to show the fact, but never really gives it the weight its implications deserve. You can't say the original version would have been better. We've never seen it, we will never know. But the problem with chopping things to hell and trying to fundamentally alter the tone in the edit room is that you risk a result that is incoherent, that is even discordant. And the problem with swapping self-seriousness for flippant insincerity is that you trigger the audience's pattern recognition in all the wrong ways. Your predominantly male audience might have better understood your lead character if you'd kept the tone of the trailer shot for this scene. It's basically impossible to misread. It tells you early and and absolutely that there's something serious underneath the facade Supergirl puts up. Nobody actually likes the carefree, flippant insincerity of Gen Z girls, not even Gen Z girls. It makes most people deep down in their subconscious think that Sean Connery might have had a point about women.
I think it's absolutely right.
To give her a good slap.
Yeah, absolutely.
This does not look like this is gonna end well.
Falcon punch! I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
And yet that's the version we went with. She's so messy, she's so normal, but she's not. And that's what makes her interesting. You should know, filmmakers, that the audience's bar for these movies has been raised because dozens of them stink. You should write your movies with this in mind. Burying the lead beneath several layers of slobby, unattractive irony isn't an approach that's available to you anymore, and yet it is the one they have chosen.
I am Ruthie Marinol of the Dynastia clan.
How the hell did you get here? It's the next day. If you followed her, why did you wait so long? If you didn't follow her, how did you know she was here?
Now, if you'll excuse me, I really need a pee.
Oh god, and here's another thing. Most men don't actually find pissing attractive. Shocking, I know. James Gunn probably does, because look at him. But James Gunn likes watching John Cena give his wife the 5-knuckle shuffle. Most men are not like James Gunn. Nobody seems to have anything against making male heroes attractive to the female audience.
Flip too hard, damn it!
There's a happy overlap there because men don't bitch and whine and try to ban depictions of attractive men. They just hit the gym rather than the cheesecake. It's not a double standard to want female heroes to be attractive too, it's just consistency, which is maybe, now I think about it, why women don't like that idea. You can absolutely reduce your heroes to unattractive positions. Tony Stark pissed himself that one time.
You know, the question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in the suit? Just like that.
But that was in his second movie, after he learned he was dying. He'd almost given up hope, he was badly drunk, and he was still trying to put on a show for his adoring crowd. Natasha Romanoff, introduced as sexy, funny, charming, competent, long before you get the horrifically tragic story about her ovaries being ripped out by Ray Winston.
Don't tell me to stop!
That doesn't come about till Age of Ultron. It's Phase 2 material, and even then the focus is the tragedy of the thing, not the physical grossness of the act. You have to wait until the Black Widow movie for it to be turned into a joke.
Is it your time of the month?
I don't get my period, dipshit. And
Okay, you don't have to get so clinical and nasty.
Oh, well, I was about to talk about fallopian tubes, but okay.
The problem with front-loading it in this way is that we haven't had time to like Supergirl yet. We haven't had time to admire her, to find her enticing or attractive. There is a reason she's like this, but you're going to have to wait until the midway point of the movie to learn what that is, and the movie itself opens with a whole long list of reasons not to wait that long. It's not hypocritical to say you don't want to see your female superhero pissing loudly with the door open. It is, if anything, to demand more respect for the character. You know, the kind of respect heroes used to be given. The kind of respect that made male heroes popular.
Last night you stood up for the righteous, the just.
Look, if you think I'm gonna lead you on the mountains through some sort of revenge plot turning you into a psychotic child murderer, then you must be, as they say, on glue.
God, I love how this is so clearly a planet with a red sun. Peak visual storytelling, well done guys. The main problem here is obviously that Supergirl is not a tracker and Brick doesn't really have any idea where on this vast planet Cringe Lord McFaggins is. Oh wait, he's here?
So what I'm saying is that you come up with an idea and it's like, okay, this happens, right? And then this happens. No. It should be this happens and therefore this happens. But this happens, therefore this happens.
Of all the rundown trailer parks, he just shows up here. Why? Why not go literally anywhere else? Why not radio one of your cringe friends to bring you another ship? The entire movie continues because and then he shows up in the one place on this entire planet that can give Supergirl a reason to get involved in the plot. Props for shooting Crypto at least. Ms. Nogueira read about the kick the dog trope and the save the cat trope in her Idiot's Guide to Writing. You know, the one that qualifies you to take charge of $170 million productions. So they take Crypto to a nearby witch who tells them what's wrong.
She says it paralyzes the host slowly, and I'm sorry, but painfully, before eventually stopping the heart.
Okay, but it's fine though, because, you know, just take him to a yellow sun planet.
How long does he have?
3 moon razors.
Take him to a yellow sun?
You cannot freaking give up on me. Home is wherever you are, buddy.
But like when you're here, look at you in Crypto right here.
It's not a real, yeah.
So
Just miming.
that's not there at all?
No, you just kind of like mime and you just like pretend to get licked by a dog, which is an incredibly humbling experience.
Yeah. Up there with BF chefs and you gotta do.
Getting like, you know, a 5'11" woman barking at you in a gray suit.
Gets you in the character.
It really does, yeah.
Take him to a yellow fucking sun.
Moving him would risk accelerating the effects of the toxin.
Sure, okay, but the nearest yellow sun is just a very short bus ride away, and you have no idea where Cringelord McFaggins is. It's obviously the safer bet. Take him to a yellow sun. Or, I don't know, call Clark and ask if he knows any way to help, because if you did that, he'd remember that he met Element Man in his movie, and Element Man can make the sun, even though that movie pretended that wasn't what he was doing, despite it healing Superman and so clearly being exactly what he was doing. I can't overstate this. The entire movie from this point onward exists because they won't take the dog to a yellow sun, but it's given us basically no reason to believe that this wouldn't work, or that it isn't the best of the available options. So the two inciting incidents, the death of Brick's family and Crypto being poisoned, have extremely easy fixes that just weren't chosen. The story doesn't need to exist. We would all be better off without it. It's like mosquitoes or gypsies. Also,
1, 2, 3. 72 hours, buddy.
Wait, is that 3 of this planet's days, 3 of Krypton's days, or 3 Earth days? Because, you know, these aren't going to be the same thing. Props, though, for getting Kick the Dog, Save the Cat, and the ticking clock deployed in the space of a single scene. You could teach creative writing. This is not a compliment. So Supergirl goes to catch a bus, but she doesn't want Brick following her because she doesn't want Brick's revenge motive getting in the way of her getting the antidote from Cringelord McFaggins, who she has no way of finding. So naturally, Brick follows her anyway, and she neither spots this nor makes any effort to stop it.
I was just trying to get through to my scene.
You put your bag on the floor at her feet, which is calling her mother a whore.
And then, the bus just happens to get attacked by a bunch of space pirates from whom, inevitably, they will get a lead on Cringelord McFaggot.
God, I see movies.
And
you see movies that you're just watching, it's like, this happened, and then this happens, and then this happens. That's when you're in a movie just going, what the am I watching this movie for?
Now, I'm quite bored of the modern movie formula, because the modern movie formula is so predictable that you can tell at a glance who is ultimately good people and who is ultimately bad people. I knew these tech-stealing pirates were going to wind up being good people because I noticed that they are all women. It naturally follows that Cringelord McFaggot and his brigands are irredeemably bad people because they are all men. For the purposes of this scene and this scene alone, the tech pirates have portable teleportation devices. Supergirl gets her hands on one and uses it in the fight, which sees her randomly and unpredictably land in odd places on the bus. This establishes that she is messy and the movie has a funny and lightweight tone. Again, it's actually one of the worst devices I think you could come up with so early in a character's first movie. This is time you could and should use to train the audience in how a character acts moves, fights to give an early sense of strengths and weaknesses. Introducing a randomizing element, and that's what this is, almost completely eliminates this prospect. If you're feeling very charitable, you can say that we learn she is resourceful, except that taking the teleporting device and using it against the lady pirates is much like taking the generic alien's weapon earlier and using that against him. Using people's tools against them is not going to play any significant role later, so you're left assuming that the writers did not intend it to be a staple of Supergirl's character. They just thought it'd make for a funny and frenetic and messy fight scene. Fight scenes should tell stories, though. I'm not sure untested part-time female theater kids really understand this point. Oh, I mean that she's a part-time theater actress, not that she's a part-time female. This needs clarifying because the year is 2026. Supergirl manages to get herself trapped in an airlock and she asks the bus driver where the nearest yellow sun is. It is, as luck would have it, right over the horizon of that there planet, meaning the fight is already over and all she needs to do is wait.
Can you get any closer?
Yeah, sure, if I had a friggin' engine or some balls, but I have neither, so no.
Oh good, James Gunn has a cameo in the movie. Supergirl starts putting on a spacesuit because unpowered spaceflight can get you materially closer to a fucking sun. But one of the lady pirates decides that now is the most dramatic moment to eject her, and so she does. It makes no difference. The sun does what suns tend to do and it rises, and so Supergirl gets her powers back anyway. Question: does the yellow sun only work on Kryptonians when they have direct line of sight to it? Do they lose all their powers at nighttime? Because I'm pretty sure that's not how it's ever been shown working before. Don't come at me with your 50,000 issues of some 1960s comic book, you fat nerd. If there's an explanation for it in the comics, that explanation needs to be in the movie. These are not the same universe. With her powers back, Supergirl makes short work of the lady pirates, but she doesn't kill them because she has also noticed that they are women. The movie's not going to establish a clear no-kill rule for Supergirl. There are fight scenes later where she almost certainly does kill people, but they're men so they don't count. The fact she doesn't kill them means that down at the planetary rest stop, they can tell her how to find Cringelord and his McFaggots. Prepare yourselves, it's time for exposition.
He's on Bilky.
Damn, imagine if you'd attacked one of the many other buses in the universe. They'd not now have any idea where they were going.
Nice try, Bilky's a dead planet.
Dying. Not dead. The atomic wars brought destruction. Half the population is gone, and the remaining resources have drawn filth from every corner of the galaxy.
This is already kinda clunky. It's a weird misapprehension to labor under. Supergirl's supposed to be the wiser, more grounded and knowledgeable character. She knows things that Brick does not. She instantly recognized the lady pirates earlier. There's a pretty big and notable difference between this planet is dead and this planet is famous as a wretched hive of scum and villainy. It's actually a problem you can solve if you have it that Supergirl has just never heard of this particular place before. Bilky, what's that? Works better than, no, that's a dead planet. Here, the writers are trying to balance her knowledge base against the audience's need for exposition, but they haven't attended Krusty's clown school, so they just fell off the tightrope.
Hey, Homer, the section you're supposed to be monitoring is on fire.
But what particular resources might Captain Cringe be plundering from Bilky?
For girls. Girls to help them continue their all-male race.
Then why the fuck did they leave Brick behind? Is she so boring and expressionless that they didn't realize she was human? Did she blend into the fucking wall?
Cool.
Cool. Cool. You've just learned that Cringelord's secret identity is Mr. Ray Pittler, sex trafficking and raping a whole planet's worth of girls, and your response is cool. Have you considered applying to work for the UK government? This is what I mean when I say the movie's given us one of the most evil villains in superhero media, but it prefers to dodge the implications. This guy goes around kidnapping young girls and forcing them into sex slavery to perpetuate his all-male race. Meaning, presumably, that on top of the sex slavery and the kidnapping, Mr. Ray Pittler goes all Craster's Keep and murders every female member of his race? Because how would an all-male race evolve to require the females of an entirely different race in order to breed? Don't get me wrong, I don't like keeping women around either. They're loud and expensive, but there really should be limits. And I am not an all-male race. I'm just a man with good taste. This is actual, tangible, appalling villainy. It feels like it warrants something more than cool, doesn't it? Feels like maybe we should be reconsidering that no revenge rule, no? There's a very funny joke in this scene, by the way.
These taste like shit.
For women, the need or ability to be funny is tremendously less than it is among men.
This being a female superhero movie with a ticking clock, they then go shopping. It allows for funny woman humor when we land on Bilky, which, given the amount of rape and sex trafficking that goes on here, we shall call the UK.
You could have done that sooner. Yep.
I say the problem with female comedians up till now is they tend to be either dykes or Jews or butch.
That's all this suit exists for, by the way. It's practically useless. It does nothing. It's just funny lady humor.
Hey, girls are funny, Wendy, okay? Get over it. Just do women's comedy stuff, talk about how fat you are and how you want to have sex with guys and then say, my vagina a lot.
Speaking of, Supergirl tells Brick about Clark, and there's a funny woman humor bit here as well.
And you are Superwoman?
Supergirl.
How come he's a man? I mean, you're...
The salad of letters chosen by the magazine's correspondence editors criticizing me made me think I could write a sequel called How Some Women Apparently Can't Even Read.
They enter a standard UK bar. There's something to be said for how many different alien designs make it into the movie. Disney Star Wars should take note. It's just a shame the same imagination didn't make it into the set choices. Supergirl tries to get information on Mr. Ray Pittler out of another generic alien.
Let me have her, and you can walk out alive. That sort of information's gonna cost you.
Funny woman humor is when you can make a sight gag out of the concept of forced breeding, apparently. She arm wrestles another one and breaks his arm, so everybody pulls their guns on her.
This does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Remember how young girls are basically the most valuable resource in the UK? Well, you'd figure one or two of the charming and diverse and definitely British people might try and grab her during the chaos that ensues, but this Brazilian writer does not understand how crafty British people can be, so she didn't account for that.
How was that discreet?
My dog's dying, so I don't really have the patience that I should have right now.
You went shopping for a novelty outfit. You just beat up a bunch of diverse sex traffickers for no reason, you racist. Nothing about you conveys a sense of urgency. And then Lobo enters the movie.
He's an immortal with a god complex. Killed off his entire planet.
It's vital that we explain this in exposition because absolutely nothing else in the movie would convey this point. Lobo is just another Jason Momoa character. He's also hunting for the brigands, but he's not hunting for Mr. Ray Pittler himself. He's after one of Mr. Ray Pittler's underlings. I think his name is Mr. Joseph Gropels. This is to ensure that the movie is less focused than it might otherwise have been.
We could help you take on the brigands.
Oh no, not Brick!
We're just a couple of girls from Metropolis, USA. We're doing a FOMO tour. It's for my birthday.
Lobo's entire role in the script is not to act consistently or in accordance with a particular motive. He just shows up and does unpredictable things to cause chaos. This makes him one of the only enjoyable things in this entire film, but it's the kind of cheap enjoyment you get from cheating, and you could have had pretty much any other non-character you like perform the same role. Krypto performs that role in a few Superman scenes. You could swap Lobo for Ricardo the sentient air conditioner from planet Minjgard, not that there'd be an air conditioner in the UK, but you know, and have him wackily change the temperature in the room for no reason, and you would have accomplished much the same thing narratively. Have him played by Jason Momoa doing Jason Momoa, or Jack Black doing Jack Black, or Johnny Depp doing Jack Sparrow again, and the audience isn't then enjoying the character, they're enjoying an actor doing crazy nonsensical things like they always do. It's a crutch for writers who don't know how to make their stories interesting. But oh, Platoon, doesn't Lobo represent the chaotic antithesis to Supergirl in the eyes of Brick? One who's not bound by rules or restrictions, one who has no qualms about revenge, and so one who threatens to lead Brick down a darker path? No.
You all have been super useless. Happy birthday.
And then some friendly bar people tell Supergirl that they know a guy who knows Mr. Ray Pittler.
Not safe for Rudy. Wear these?
Number 1, this line makes no difference, Brick's going with them anyway. Number 2, these people's obviously impending betrayal actually requires Brick's presence, so this line works against their totally secret motive. What if Supergirl had said, wait, it's not safe, then you should stay here, Brick? Ergo number 3, why did you include this line in the script? The world was better when you couldn't vote.
Girl is tired. Rest.
Yeah, but we just got done explaining that Supergirl is impatient because there's a ticking clock. There's no time for rest. So naturally, they go upstairs for a rest. And rest means exposition, so it's time for an extended flashback to the death of Krypton. Easily the most interesting bit in the entire movie, but undermined by the fact it was written by the woman who wrote this movie, and so it is quite profoundly broken in many terrible ways. Supergirl narrates as her father, back on Krypton, runs in and tells her mother that the planet core is unstable and will explode in mere minutes. They have to activate the force field and leave. They escape the room just as an Ent tries to take them out. I already have problems with this, but we're just gonna lay it out first and we'll tear it apart in a minute. Outside, buildings are crumbling. People are panicking. Supergirl's parents, Zor-El and Allura. Where have I heard Allura before? Oh my god, no. They run through the streets and happen to look up as a little ship flies off-world. They're speaking foreign here, but the dialogue translates as, "Is it him? It's Kal-El. Your brother declared him conqueror of worlds." Yeah, we're doubling down on that. We told you it was real. James Gunn told you it was real. Every character in that film told you it was real.
I know there's computer forensics guys. They're not going to say it's legit unless they are sure.
How can someone not think it's real? Okay. In the movie, Mr. Terrific says, I know those computer forensics guys. There's no way. That's Mr. Terrific. Smart as Lex Luthor. Then I have Maury, the Secretary of Defense, say, I think whatever you think about Luthor, but it's real. And then the clincher is that Gurkos and Lex are walking together. Right. And, Gurkos says, you doctored a message. This is great. And Lex says, it's not a message. It's not doctored. Right. It's real. And who thought his own parents would be the ones to bring him down?
It was fucking real.
Put your parents' message on to soothe you.
Thank you.
I'm suggesting we round them all up, pull down their pants, and f them until their spirits leave their bodies.
They run into a big temple building and a force field cuts it off from the collapsing planet, and this small bit of their city lifts up and away as the planet beneath them is destroyed. It's a little bit unclear whether it actually has kind of like upward momentum. Does it have thrusters? Because it seems to have got itself quite a long way above the planet, but it's going to be very important for later that it has no means of propulsion. 8 years later, Supergirl is born, and she has a pretty happy life, all things considered.
I didn't have a clue that Argo was different from any other planet. I thought we were lucky. But luck, almost by definition, runs out.
Oh no, her mother is mysteriously sick. A doctor explains that when the city of Argo separated, it unearthed the crystalline material from the depths of the planet, a material called kryptonite. The soil is poisoned, everybody on the planet is sick, and the sickness is spreading. There is no cure. Luckily, the sickness takes narrative pacing into account, so it doesn't affect everybody all at once, and it doesn't affect Supergirl at all. So that's convenient. It waits an obligingly long time before it comes even for Zor-El. Supergirl walks into his lab one day and he explains he found his brother Jor-El's schematics for an escape pod, and he's built just the one of them so he can send his daughter after the boy he has every reason to believe has grown up to become an all-consuming rapist, just as his father intended. She tries to say no, she doesn't want to leave, she'd rather stay and be buried next to her parents. It makes no difference to the universe whether she lives or dies. But he says no, she's not insignificant, she's their daughter. She is their soul extending out into the universe.
Okay, and then the other line that I loved was, your soul are carrying our souls into the future. Anyway, you are our souls unfolding into the future.
Yeah.
Where do you get that from?
Yeah.
It's alright, you know, it's just a shame that it's swimming in a bucket of bum gravy. Later still, her mum is basically dead, and she compels a deathbed promise. In her own words, "When I'm gone, promise me something. Be good."
You're not a peril. You're good.
I'm good.
You're good.
That doesn't mean you're weak. You don't have to be nice, but you have to be good.
I'm good.
Then Allura dies, and her coffin is carried by a lot of suspiciously healthy-looking people through the temple. It comes time for Supergirl to leave. Her dad tells her, "We do not choose our own path. Wherever you go, you will have great power. Use it to protect those people who cannot protect themselves." The visuals show us Krypto here. Krypto is famously incapable of protecting himself. Then he tells Supergirl to trust herself to know what is right. So, without further complaint, she plonks herself down in the escape pod, and her father hands her Allura's special watch. The pod closes, the pod is sealed, with Supergirl and Krypto inside it. Through the window, Zor-El says, "We are with you," and the pod launches. The camera remains fixed on what we're leaving behind, which is basic, but it's a nice touch. The pod flies away, and we return to the present.
When I say no, it's like I'm not talking out of my ass, Ruthie. Grief is a killer, you know? It can make you want to break bad or, get revenge, but I don't think any of those things are going to lead you to where you want to go.
Millie Alcock is a very good actress. This is probably the best and most meaningful sequence in the movie. And now we've complimented it, let's explore how extremely profoundly broken it all is. In the first place, the movie doesn't think it has the time to show or to explain how such a hyper-advanced race can be so ignorant of the basics of its own planet. It tells us that Zor-El and Jor-El knew about the impending collapse of the planet core. It even tells us they told everybody else about it, but nothing was done. This is a huge problem, because it makes the Kryptonians so retarded that they probably don't deserve to live.
Krypton had its chance!
Tell that to Zod Snap Neck.
The movie tries to sidle away from the issue by essentially stealing a South Park bit.
We didn't listen! Oh, Jesus! Here it comes! Global warming!
Except that they did listen just enough to build a massive force field around quite a small section of their city in case of an emergency they didn't believe is coming. At the very least, they allowed Jor-El to do this in flagrant violation of the city code. In the second place, I don't think now is the time for some hackneyed exposition, but since you brought it up, why, with a whole universe of planets to choose from, would you send your daughter to the one planet where you have every reason to believe Superman now exists as an all-conquering, all-shagging tyrant god? If you had to send her there, why would you not warn her about what she should expect? Jor-El sent a message, maybe a fortress, maybe also some robots, because fuck knows where else they came from. He sent those with his son. It's only pot luck that the message happened to break in transit. As far as Zor-El knows, he's sending his daughter into mortal peril. There are other planets with yellow suns. Speaking of which, third. So not only did most of Krypton refuse to believe that the planet core was going to explode, but no Kryptonians knew of the existence of kryptonite. This is a highly advanced, technologically miraculous race of beings that can turn cities into spaceships, but basic geological scans are totally beyond them apparently. Even granting all of that, which you shouldn't, they do know about the effects yellow suns have on them. It's why Superman could be expected to become conqueror of worlds. It's the source of the great power Zor-El promises Supergirl that she will have. Not only can they turn their entire city into a spaceship, but they're capable of making smaller personal spaceships. In that case, just fucking leave. Leave Argo. There's literally nothing tying you down here. Nothing the movie's established anyway. And there's every reason for you all to evacuate. If, for some reason, the movie couldn't be bothered to elaborate upon, you had only the resources for one escape pod, send that off to the nearest spacefaring civilization and ask for aid. If you're so sentimentally attached to Argo to the extent you would rather die than leave it, just stick some rocket boosters on it and fly it to the nearest yellow sun. We know you're capable of extremely fast interstellar travel. Superman and Supergirl arrive at Earth in relatively short order. And then, fourth, even assuming none of this was possible for reasons the movie didn't think to include, you could probably fit at least one more child in that pod there, and you could probably send a whole mass of data and information with it. A record of your race, guidance for Supergirl, technology, and other schematics for the people who are due to adopt her. Jor-El did that, and he just wanted Clark to fuck everybody into submission. I get that it's important to the movie that the parting words are limited to be good, because this allows, on paper, some doubt and uncertainty in Supergirl. What is good? How do I do it? How can I do it when the universe has taken so much from me? Etc. Never really makes it into the movie, but on paper it does exist. But the movie hasn't established the constraints to justify sending her with nothing but a dog to show for it. They could have sent more, and they didn't, because Ms. Nogueira thinks the theme and the threadbare character work trumps basic common sense. Typical fucking woman. Oh, and fifth, Supergirl is in her late teens while all this is happening. I don't think the movie states her exact age, but she's clearly between 16 and 18 when she leaves Krypton, and the movie does tell us that she's 10 years younger than Clark. Nobody on Krypton knew about kryptonite until this point. Clark is 30 by the time of the Superman movie. If Supergirl is 18 during the Krypton flashbacks, that means kryptonite was first discovered 12 years before Superman takes place, and given it's called kryptonite, it logically follows that the first time it's discovered on Argo is the first time it's discovered anywhere. And yet, by the time of the Superman movie, not only is kryptonite known about on Earth, but the movie suggests we've used all of it.
Yeah, they got this stuff. What's this kryptonite stuff called?
It's called kryptonite.
As far as we can ascertain, there's none left on the planet.
So in 12 years, it goes from first discovery to proliferating around the galaxy to being totally exhausted on Earth, even though nobody on Earth knows anything about Krypton when the Superman movie starts. I don't think this works. I think James Gunn just threw in that there's no kryptonite left on Earth as a lazy hack reason for its absence from the plot, without actually figuring out whether or why that should be the case. It really is one of the worst superhero movies ever made. So, as I say, this is the best sequence in the entire movie, but absolutely none of it should have happened the way it did. Most of it had no reason to happen in the first place. We rushed through the fall of an entire civilization and Supergirl's entire origin story, which is the most important thing about her, and for what? So we can get back to Brick. Here's an idea. Your first Supergirl movie should be about this. It should be an actual origin story, not an anti-story with a few minutes of origin story flashback. Tell the story of Krypton's destruction and the fall of Argo City, the slow death of a proud people. Let Millie Alcock's first Supergirl movie be the one that plays to her significant strengths, a grounded character drama with strong period influences. That's not a sexist joke. End it with this shot right here. Spend closer to $70 million than $170 million on it. Employ a writer who knows what words be. Leave the audience feeling extremely sad for the loss of this great civilization and in love with this tragic young girl sent out into the universe with nothing but her dog. Have them wondering what comes next, but hoping for the best. If in her next appearance you want Supergirl to be what we see in this movie, the audience will understand from the off exactly what and where she's coming from. Her sense of profound loss, amplified by time and distance, and by the fact we'd have had a full 90-minute movie to get attached to her friends and relatives, all now dead. Your post-credit scene could be a better version of the arrival on Earth we're going to get in this movie. There was genuinely a fascinating and heartfelt and meaningful story to be told here, but it got relegated to an 8-minute mid-movie flashback in order that we can carry on with fucking Brick. I swear, Hollywood makes some of the worst decisions of any industry, and James Gunn makes some of the worst decisions in Hollywood. We won't greenlight until the script is solid, he says. Anyway, flashback over, Supergirl notes from her watch that time continues to pass, so we should probably be getting back to the plot. She goes downstairs to ask the friendly bar people where their friend is.
Where's your friend?
Looks pretty sus to me. That's not how innocent people tend to act. Also, you have super hearing. We know you have super hearing because we see that later in the movie. Makes it kinda hard for people to be discussing secret conspiracies in your near vicinity, doesn't it? No, don't take the tea. They're obviously going to betray you.
Brigands come here, take girls. I would go.
Oh, look, the tea was drugged. Who could have seen it coming?
Did you get this poison from the brigands?
You should be
paralyzed.
Dude, you can't have the inciting event of your movie be a dog getting poisoned by the brigands, then have your protagonist poisoned by the brigands later and be cured by a yellow sun. You just can't. It confuses the language. You're telling the audience that the problem is easily solved, so the obvious question is, why haven't we solved it easily? Nice barman apologizes and explains they had a deal with Mr. Ray Pittler. Our girl, in exchange for two, Millie Alcock, starts coating her stomach with the white stuff for what I hope is the first time, so she can vomit up the nasty poison. That's not how poisons work, but hey-ho. And then, Mr. Ray Pittler rams his ship through the wall for no apparent reason. In the resulting fight, you have to believe that the poison's lingering effects are what stops Supergirl just using her laser eyes. You have to keep assuming this even after she chucks up the rest of the poison, which is her cue to start fighting much better than she had been. Because if she had her laser eyes in this scene, it would already be over. She rescues Brick, but loses the antidote for Crypto, and they make it outside. This having been quite generic superhero fight scene fare so far, it's time for the movie to introduce its chaos element again in a desperate bid to wake people up. Goody, Lobo's here. Those cable car carriage things he just knocked off, by the way, they've got innocent prisoners in them. They fell a long way. Everybody should probably be dead. The movie shows us a bunch of them running out of the crashed cars, so we know they're not, but your brain doesn't really like it. As for why Lobo should first free a bunch of prisoners he doesn't give a shit about, I have no idea, but it's going to be important. Because, you see, Mr. Ray Pittler, despite being an extremely evil and dishonorable brigand, he was actually going to honor the terms of the deal. Rather than just crashing in and making off with Supergirl and Brick and the already kidnapped girl, he did actually bring the nice bar people's daughter here to make a trade. He has no incentive to do this. It doesn't really comport with what we know about him, but it means that the daughter can start running around the battlefield and set us up with a moment of forced drama later. While Supergirl and Lobo have their obligatory and tedious previous team-up, one of the many reasons all these movies feel the same, Brick goes sneaking after Mr. Ray Pittler, who is pursuing Daughter cringily.
Santa!
What are we gonna call this guy?
The leaky fucking men's box. That's pretty good.
This despite his entire operation on this planet being under threat from two much more important targets. Brick sneaks up behind Mr. Ray Pittler with her sword drawn, just as Supergirl flies up in front of him. Mr. Ray Pittler spots Supergirl. Supergirl spots both of them. He doesn't know that Brick is behind him, so one way or another, he should be dead. What the fuck are you doing? She had a clear shot and he was distracted. If you didn't want her to risk it, you've got your laser eyes back. Mr. Ray Pittler is literally Rape Hitler. You could have put an end to his reign of sexy time tyranny, eliminated the axis of dick, struck a blow for womankind across the galaxy, and you didn't.
Hide.
Yeah, well done. He's gone. He's gone and caught Daughter. Oh, look, he's killed the nice bar people and he's kidnapped her again. She's going back to their base so a bunch of cringy edgelords can run a train on her like they're the fat controller.
Where you from? You sexy thing.
And it's all your fault.
They're dead because you did not let me do what had to be done. Okay. Why does he get to be alive? Why?
Okay, stop freaking out.
This is a very good question, Brick. Well done. Over to you, Supergirl.
It'll haunt you for the rest of your life. Is that what you want?
The man is Rape Hitler. You've just gone around basically killing dozens of his employees, but you're drawing the line at killing actual Rape Hitler? It will haunt you for the rest of your life, will it? Killing Rape Hitler? Stopping him kidnapping, forcibly breeding, then presumably murdering thousands of innocent girls across dozens of planets? That will make you feel bad, will it? And you know this how? What is the comparable experience you're drawing on here? Fucking Jor-El?
So the alternative is to be like you, constantly leaving your planet to drink yourself into a stupor?
Okay, fine, you're right. But we're going to have a little chat about acting when this is over.
Guess what? I too want to free myself of this pain.
Never mind, that would be futile.
At the chemistry read, when I met you and the other girls, Craig looked at me and he was like, "Who is it?" I was like, "It's the first girl, it's Eve." You just knew, like, just instantly. You would just her, like, there was no, like, work that needed to be done because it was just, you were just perfect.
Thanks.
It's okay.
You serious?
Yeah, you have chemistry in the way noble gases have chemistry. They're totally fucking inert, but technically. It doesn't help that Brick has to deliver these overwritten, overly formal lines, which is weird because her useless parents didn't speak like that. But one of the things we know Millie Alcock is very good at is chemistry. So the fact this isn't working probably does have something to do with the fact she's acting against the human equivalent of argon. Supergirl flies off to space to have a quick and silent scream. She hyperventilates. In space. A certain type of woman believes that futile screaming about nothing in particular is a vital part of the female experience. It allows them to let out the deep-felt divine feminine rage that builds up in them because of today's society.
The rituals can come in the form of a weekend-long retreat, and the cost ranges from $2,000 to $4,000.
And I'm assuming all these people vote.
I think it's a childish expression of an inchoate narcissism, and the fact so many well-off professional women go in for it, while women who actually live difficult lives do not, is a form of arrested development. But then, I'm an irredeemable sexist. Supergirl then flies back down and threatens a passing alien into taking her to Mr. Ray Pittler's base. He says, "Fine, but you have to wear a hood, you know, in case she's able to spot landmarks in fucking space, for fuck's sake." I think the movie's reason for doing this extremely stupid thing is that it has to come as a surprise to Supergirl when she's deposited on generic planet number 3 that that planet has a green sun. The worst kind of sun because it kills Kryptonians slowly. But shouldn't she have been able to feel this regardless? The movie has fallen back on this idea that the effects of particular suns only apply if the sun is literally out at the time and the character can see it. But on the last planet, the poison didn't work at nighttime because the planet has a yellow sun. So I don't think you should be able to surprise people with suns. It just seems very silly. Nor, by the way, do I believe an alien would voluntarily bring an enemy of Mr. Ray Piddler anywhere near his base. Not given his reputation. Not when you've hooded said enemy and believe that she can't see where you're taking her. That seems like an implausibly big risk to be taking on. Nor am I totally sure of the staging here. The movie never makes it particularly clear whether Mr. Ray Piddler has come to this planet because it has a green sun and he believes he's being followed, or whether he's come here because he has a pre-established base of operations and he would always have come here. If it's the latter, it's just absurdly convenient that this planet does happen to have a green sun, but if it's the former, then it's implausibly convenient that Mr. Ray Piddler would know about the effects of the green sun and that he wouldn't be waiting to capture Supergirl the minute she arrives. One thing is for certain, this planet is so boring and so empty that you just know there's gonna be a final battle scene here because it's cheaper to animate. James Gunn, he wasn't lying when he praised The Flash, when he called it one of the best movies he's ever seen. He looked at this crime against the concept of cinema and then he hired the cinematographer. Ugh. As she passes out and some mysterious person who is obviously going to be Brick starts dragging her across the floor, we get another Supergirl flashback. This was one of the products of the reshoots, more Superman, but all we really accomplish with this is to give Superman an extra chromosome.
I believe you're from Krypton, and so am I. Clark.
Dude, you know she doesn't speak English. She doesn't even speak American.
Oh, I don't speak Kryptonian.
No, well done, and this is kind of the problem. The movie wants to further Clark's one established personality trait. He's nice because being nice is punk rock, unless you criticize the Superman movie. Now it's had him acknowledge the problem. But the more he persists with speaking English after acknowledging the problem, the less charming and endearing it's going to seem, and the more he's going to seem like the kind of man who eats Play-Doh while watching Godzilla x Kong.
Hey guys, what's going on? God damn you.
Ah, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Don't worry, we don't actually live here. It was a big adjustment for me. You know, coming from Kansas, I'm a small town kind of guy, but you know Kansas? No. Why would you know Kansas?
If he was on the internet, his profile picture would be Sonic.
You can't understand a word that I'm saying right now. It's okay. You will one day. And you'll also learn to love this place, just like I have.
Why does the Fortress of Solitude look like this if Krypton looks like this? How did the Fortress even get here? Why are you still talking? He then warns her that her powers are about to kick in, and we fast forward to her blocking out the overpowering noises of Metropolis with her headphones. It's not a power she's used at any other point in the movie. In fact, it's a power she quite pointedly did not use when it might have been useful. It's a cool idea in the abstract, we've seen it done well before, and so we continue the unfortunate theme. The movie's most fruitful ideas, they're all relegated to brief flashback sections. Just do a fucking origin story, god damn it. Supergirl wakes up in the present tense, and inevitably it was Brick who dragged her to the cave. How did Brick get here, you don't ask because you don't care?
I saw you boarding that man's ship, so I snuck him into the cargo hold.
How did nobody notice her leaving, given there were just 2 people and a whole fucking desert? Why the hell wouldn't the guys flying the ship have brought these 2 directly to Mr. Ray Piddler to collect the reward? Ugh, no idea. Don't care.
Creme left your ship on Bilky, and I found this. Thought that might help.
It's just a stupid suit, Ruthie.
What's this place?
That's my prison. The brigands know that the planet orbits between 2 suns. And now the green sun can kill me.
A place where you're only trapped 50% of the time, that's definitionally not a prison. What are you talking about? A planet that only has a green sun might be a prison. This one isn't. And before your writer brain kicks in and wonders what use we'll be putting this new mechanic to, stop it. Ms. Nogueira didn't bother writing the movie properly, so why should you? The green sun exists solely so we can keep Supergirl temporarily out of the action. It will disappear when it's time for her to get involved in the action. It does not impose a time limit, it does not alter strategy, it's just a temporary device with no greater significance. A contrivance, if you will.
I'm so sorry for saying I didn't want to be like you.
No, don't apologize for that. That's the only line in the movie that makes sense.
You're not always nice, but you're kind. And you're not always perfect, but you're good. So thank you for taking me with you.
A, she didn't take you with her, she tried to discard you at every opportunity. B, were you on Krypton? Did you hear that line? Or are we meant to believe that Supergirl narrated every single line of dialogue from that flashback in real time, including the ones that occurred before she was even born? You have to be careful having a character reference events from another character's flashback that you establish the delivery of that flashback is diegetic. That was not the impression given by the flashback in this movie, which has two different modes of presentation for its diegetic and non-diegetic elements. Supergirl narrated parts of it, the rest of it was just for the audience. That gives the impression that the narrated bits were diegetic and the non-narrated bits were not. I'm afraid you won't find this advice in the Idiot's Guide to Writing, which is why Ms. Nogueira is unfamiliar with it. Supergirl says she needs water, so Brick teleports to a lake, and then she gets attacked by a Tusken Raider reference and captured. Oh dear. She wakes up in a prison cell. Across the room in another cell is Lobo. He plays it cool, but we're supposed to glean from their exchange that he was a foolish fool and he got himself captured.
My assumption is that you've tried and failed in numerous ways to get out of here.
Problem is, though, that the last time we saw him, he was doing this.
Gotcha, bastards!
So I have absolutely no idea how he could possibly have got himself caught. But I guess the confusion is meant to be the point, because, you know, he's the crazy chaos merchant.
Did you get caught?
Hunters don't get caught. They set traps, and then they wait.
Well, I'm not
Oh, we
interested.
know, for fuck's sake,
Soon
shut up.
I
We
will find
know,
crime and do
we
what
know,
needs to be
we
done.
know. Mr. Ray Pitlow walks in at this moment and does his usual cringe lord act. It's kind of funny that we've reached the movie's final act, and besides the raping and the cringe, we know nothing else about him. He offers Brick a deal. Tell me where Supergirl is and I will let you live. So she spits at him.
Bye-bye. This one dies before the end of the day.
Yeah, why not now, though? She just spat on you in front of your subordinates. Generational aura loss has been incurred. You've got to recover your Riz, as the youth say. And the best way to do that is just to kill her immediately. It's another unfortunate trope. Whenever a villain has a hero captured and says some variant of, "You will die later," all the tension evaporates because you already know exactly what's going to happen next. So inevitably, she later baits one of Mr. Ray Pitlow's goons into her cell and manages to both choke him and knock him out. Look at the fucking size difference. If he'd just bashed her against a wall and not like that, he'd have crushed her. Stop writing women like this, for fuck's sake. If any of them bothered to watch this movie, they'd come away with a dangerously inflated sense of their own abilities.
I've gotten into Krav Maga.
What the?
Nah, you can't do it.
You!
You're too little.
Brick lets Lobo out of his cage, and then she disappears up into a vent. He's very impressed by this. It's his job for the remainder of the movie. He is very impressed by one or the other of the tiny women he shares scenes with.
That's very impressive. Little shit.
Might have been nice if we'd actually seen her developing her skills across the movie, so we'd know where she got this idea from, but that would require writing, and we've grown beyond that sort of patriarchal nonsense. She drops down into an armory. She hides from a man taking a piss. She grabs her sword. Her kill count remains at 0. Outside, the green sun sets. Supergirl gets a couple more flashbacks.
I know it's pretty colorful. That's just so everyone knows we're good.
In literally all of the natural world, bright colors are supposed to tell other creatures that you're dangerous, but now Supergirl has remembered that her job in life is to be good and to fight for the defenseless, which she's been doing throughout the entire movie anyway, so it doesn't count as a lesson or a realization in any way. Fighting for the defenseless and being good is what got her into this mess in the first place. Back then to Fort Cringe, Brick goes to pull a lever, but she gets spotted and captured again. Mr. Ray Pittler takes her sword off her again. He delays killing her again. And then Supergirl arrives with a hero pose. In Superman, it took Clark a whole night to recover from his kryptonite poisoning, but everybody knows men make a big deal about their illnesses while women just get on with it. We know this because women make a big deal about how they just get on with it, yet somehow never seem to get anything done. The fight is joined. Brick gets safely stored away at the end of a rope for the whole thing because the writers couldn't be bothered to work out how the only non-superpowered person on this deck could survive otherwise. Having just got done with one "oh no, she's been poisoned" beat, Supergirl gets hit with several kryptonite darts that Mr. Ray Pittler just has now. So, oh no, she's been poisoned again.
Feel the power!
How do your testicles not just fall off out of embarrassment?
Your eyes are beautiful when you cry. A lot of pain, huh? A lot of suffering. I don't like to see you suffer, so we will end the suffering.
Oh good, Lobo to the rescue. I'm so glad he stuck around for whatever reason. He takes out the executioner. Supergirl yanks the kryptonite darts out of her leg, so she's just fine now. We know she's fine because we get random cutaways to her arteries. There's too much gay in your blood.
Kid wants revenge. She should have it.
It's not that simple.
Yeah, no, it really is exactly that simple. You've killed dozens of people. It's extremely weird to see you draw the line at rape Hitler, but I suppose protecting child-diddling rape goblins is very Hollywood.
Seems pretty simple to me.
At long last, the Supergirl movie gets its first hero, and his name is Lobo. He even drops Ray Pittler down to where Brick is dangling so he can teach her not to be a daft, useless pussy and grow some fucking teeth in her vagina. Look at him. I still have no idea who he really is or why he's really here, but he's having so much fun. Oh, I'm so unspeakably jealous. There's some more fighting after this, but there's basically nothing to report on. It's just pointless, time-filling nonsense that only a fringe group of parochial weirdos could possibly enjoy, like American football. Supergirl voluntarily enters a tank and drops it into the water for no particular reason. Lobo's the one who actually destroys Mr. Ray Pittler's ship, which crashes into a mountain at an exceedingly slow pace so that Brick and Mr. Ray Pittler can get off of it unscathed. And all good. We're doing Prometheus again. I love it when we do Prometheus. Then, Supergirl breaks out of her tank and pulls Brick from in front of the burning wreckage. Just look how cheap this is. It really is the Flash 2.0, just a flat, empty waste. This means the only thing we have to care about in the final battle is the characters, and that's really bad because we don't have any of those.
You alright? The brides, they're still in there.
Sure, okay, but hold on a minute. Mr. Ray Pittler's not dead yet, nor is his entire army. Look, here they all come. I'd probably take these guys out first before I went hunting for prisoners, because you're now relying on them being impossibly retarded and not just killing Brick on sight.
The beautiful sword from your father.
Oh yeah, remember that? Remember the whole father thing? Remember the sword? Yeah. What a fucking plank. Unfortunately, Supergirl rescues all the imprisoned bitches at this moment, so we don't get to see what Brick hasn't learned about fighting over the course of this movie. It's funny, you know, because inside that ship, everything is clearly off kilter, and the threat to the bitches is that they might get crushed by a tank. But here they are running out on perfectly flat ground. It's almost like nobody gave a shit. Supergirl dispatches Mr. Ray Pittler with such ease that you're left wondering how the fuck we ever got a 90-minute movie out of him. During all this time, his goons are on pause. And not a one of them thinks it might be worth taking a shot at Brick, which is good, because it means Supergirl can fly back for one of the worst needle drops ever put to film.
Hey, write yourself off yet.
I didn't edit that in. They edited that in. Specifically, James Gunn edited that in. We know this because the director said they tried 45 different songs and James Gunn said no. What we want, what will really make this epic, is a lame female cover of a Jimmy Eat World song. More information has since come to light. This was not James Gunn's first pick. I promise you I'm not making this up. There was a time when this sequence was going to be accompanied by a cover of Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. And you know what? I think I found the version he would have used. Here, check this out.
Girls, they wanna have fun.
And this is the approach, isn't it? This is just James Gunn through and through. No real artistic appreciation for the story music is supposed to be telling, just a vibe and a recognizable name.
As we continue our mission for booze on the way to Camille Cole's party, I require something that fills every possible spectrum of sound, causing the brain to super aneurysm and explode and die. I feel nothing but rage. This is Love by the Smashing Pumpkins.
This is you, James. You're Stacey fucking Rockford. And you can do it with anything, literally anything, so long as it has a kind of indie feel to it, so long as it's sung by a girl, or the lyrics mention girl shit.
Too far in a few places.
That's Gunn's calculation. That's as complex as it gets. He thinks it will resonate with Gen Z females because it has a female voice and it sings about girl shit. Men, you see, men like music. They listen for meaning. Women, on the other hand, women like Taylor Swift. Women like Sabrina Carpenter. Women listen for vibes, in every sense of that term. In this case, the vibe is performative normalcy. Nothing too theatrical, nothing too self-serious or ornate or grandiose. Just that sub-Billie Eilish appeal to downtrodden whispered modesty is so completely artless. It's so completely false. And while a lot of women might perform like this, it's not actually what most women really want out of their climaxes of their movies. The climaxes of their movies. I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that Ramin Djawadi left after he learned Gunn would be doing the mixtape, because Gunn's approach basically robs composers of their own stories. He seems to view the job of the original composer as being to compose a generic soundscape background noise that nobody's going to remember, and then to shut up at the pivotal moment so he can shove some indie cover onto the movie. He's not the only one who does this.
Did I dream you dreamed about me?
Zach, we're not losing touch with the audience, are we?
But he does it all the time.
Any second now, who's going to do the imaginary tits?
There they are.
And crushingly for the DCU, he now does it without any apparent inspiration. The right pop or rock song, it can work wonders, it can be exactly the right choice, but if you're trying 45 different tracks and then you're whiplashing from Cyndi Lauper to Jimmy Eat World, it suggests there actually isn't a right track for this scene. The scene hasn't been written with one in mind, and the scene isn't ultimately conveying anything concrete, so there are no parallels to be drawn. So all you're looking to do is fill the audio space with, well, any old thing really, so long as it sounds like what you imagine your 16-year-old niece is listening to, because what's really happening here? Supergirl is doing all the saves. She's finally learned to be good and to fight for the defenseless, which she's been doing the whole time anyway. Brick just stands there for the most part doing absolutely nothing. Oh, she does throw like one thing at one guy that one time. That's her only action. So what has she learned? That she doesn't need to fight? That she can't possibly compete with a demigod? That she should just wait to be saved? That a burden has been lifted? That she wants mac and cheese for dinner? The fight eventually ends. Brick picks up her sword. Brick runs over to Mr. Ray Pittler and puts her sword to his throat.
No, you can't stop me. It won't take your pain away. You'll have to carry him with you for the rest of your life.
Carry what with you? That you killed Hitler? I'd be fine with that. Let me do it.
So what? I'm already ruined.
You can't be ruined. You're not a thing.
No. Your heart is still good. Show him who you are. Your family is with you, even now.
Yeah, but they're all dead.
Your life will be your revenge.
Or, and hear me out here, your revenge could be your revenge. You can tell the whole galaxy that you fought to free its womanfolk from the tyrannical Ray Pittler. You ascend to hero status. You do an objectively great thing for the universe. You keep your life either way.
Okay, you're gonna walk away before you change your mind.
The left worth saving when I don't.
Peak female behavior. No, you just walk away. That's good. That's virtuous. Oh, you're so brave and pretty and beautiful. Lol, that bitch is so stupid. I'm a kill steal and gain all her experience points.
That's for my dog, and this is for what you did to that little girl.
That's for your dog? What about the tens of thousands of little girls he raped and murdered, probably? The man's an intergalactic one-man grooming gang. I know it's racist to criticize those, but really, I think the dog probably ranks a little bit below mass rape and forced breeding, don't you think? And what does this say about Supergirl? Revenge is bad, she says. You'll live with it for the rest of your life, she says. Don't let it destroy you, she says. Then she goes and takes revenge. But this is the end of the movie, the bit where she's supposed to have made amends with her own trauma and found her proper place in the universe. This is how the movie's going to conclude. It's not ambiguous about that, but then that means that the movie is just fundamentally confused about its own message. Revenge isn't worth it, not even against Ray Pittler, unless you're good and your job is to fight for the powerless, which requires that you first encourage young girls to renounce their power in order that you can white knight for them. The movie being confused in this way is not a surprise, because it turns out Ms. Nogueira struggles with reading about as much as she struggles with writing. Here is her commenting upon this very scene. The ending between Kara and Krem was always in it, from the pinch, truly from the very beginning, Nogueira told Variety, because the comic ends with Ruthie killing him, but in the far, far future. We knew we weren't going to be able to do that kind of time jump, and I find it's quite a dark ending of the comic. He essentially has changed and she kills him anyway because she still just has this anger, and you understand there's this element of deserve, right? So we wanted to craft a villain who would deserve this, but we also wanted Kara to really care about preserving Ruthie's innocence and to feel like she could take on killing him, that she could be the one to bring justice to this man and do it without burdening this child. It's different for Supergirl, and I think it will feel different for audiences. So that confirms confirms my theory. The ending sees Supergirl denying Brick her agency for the sake of her own innocence, stripping her of her own power in order that Brick can remain pure, in order that Supergirl can assume her power and take the vengeance she denies to the people who have cause to want it. But there's another problem here that comics fans might have spotted. Ms. Nogueira mistook the ending of the comic. Here is the author of the comic, Tom King, explaining the ending to his own work.
And I could have had it the other way. I could have had Supergirl actually kill him. And I think DC probably would have let me do it just because the book was kind of at that point becoming a little bit of a phenomenon. But I've written books that are kind of more ambiguous. But the lesson of this book was always supposed to be, why is Supergirl awesome? And so the idea that her lessons get to Ruthie and change Ruthie and then save herself. So that she's kind of, she's saving herself in the end of the story. I like that.
But that last page, where Krem comes out of the Phantom Zone, right?
Yes,
Krem
the last
comes out of the
page.
Phantom Zone.
The ambiguous last page is not supposed to be ambiguous.
It's okay.
He has been redeemed, or at least he has sought redemption.
Yeah.
But he is not forgiven. So he has been rehabilitated, but not forgiven by Ruthie, and Ruthie cracks him on the head. And he goes down.
But this is not. It's supposed to be ambiguous. He's supposed to be alive at the end.
Okay.
That's why he grabs his head. It's supposed to be like, Ruthie does not forgive him. Ruthie still fucking hates him. Bops him on the head and then walks away. Like that's supposed to be the.
To be clear, I am not making an argument from adaptation here. This is not a one-for-one adaptation, and it doesn't need to be. Virtually no comic book movie is. I'm criticizing what the movie's given us. Its message is fundamentally confused and even kind of evil. But Ms. Nogueira is making an argument from adaptation. She's justifying her decision based on what she believes happened in the comic, and she got it wrong. She's so unqualified for this job, she gets confused about the distinction between life and death. And how are you going to explain this when Brick asks what just happened? When she asks where Mr. Ray Pittler is now? When she asks why her sword has blood on it? You don't think she might ask those questions? You don't think she might be a bit pissed off to learn that Supergirl lied to her and stole her valor? Oh, never mind. We just teleport away. The witch creature injects Crypto with the antidote. The movie waits an egregiously long time, as though there was a chance the dog might actually die. But he's fine now. Happy ending. Yay! He rolls around happily in the fields. Brick hugs him as Supergirl watches. Then she tells Crypto it's time for them to leave. She asks if Brick's good. Brick says yes. I'm going to stay with my aunt. I might start making swords like my dad. And Supergirl says that's a great idea. Brick then asks if Supergirl will head back to her pub crawl. And Supergirl says no, her pub crawl days are behind her. She says, I'm really glad I met you, Brick. And Brick says, yeah, me too. Supergirl says, I guess this is goodbye. Brick says goodbye. Crypto is reluctant to leave.
I never finished celebrating my birthday.
Yes, of course.
So now you're taking a miner to some seedy bar so she can pay for your drinks? The cycle begins again. The real tragedy is that this means there's a non-zero chance Brick will return in Man of Tomorrow. Maybe she can play the part of a wall in some building somewhere. At the close, we cut forward to Earth and Clark's apartment. He says hi. Supergirl says hi. He asks if it was a rough trip and she says yep. He says he always found birthdays tricky too, but she says it was good in its own way. Oh look, there's Brick. Oh, I guess she really is sticking around forever now. Clark says he could have used Supergirl's help recently, but he knows she has places to be.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay a while this time.
Hey, remember in Superman when Clark said he couldn't leave Crypto at the Kent's place because it would be dangerous and he might kill their cows? Yeah, he's coming to live in Metropolis now.
We are just happy to be home.
I am also happy.
The end. Well, that was a dry fuck on a sandy beach. I think they call that an Arabian special. The plus side is this video was more profitable before it even started than Supergirl will ever be. The downside is that we had to work our way through Supergirl regardless. Let's get the hot takes and the compliments out of the way first. As it stands, Supergirl is the best DCU movie. Yep, it is indeed better than James Gunn's Superman. Millie Alcock is quite good. I know she said some silly things things in interviews. We might talk a bit more about those in a moment. But what's she supposed to do? It's not her fault she was born a woman. It takes some genuine talent to elevate scenes and a story this bad, and she manages it. There's quite a lot of wordless emotion conveyed in the lead into the Krypton flashback in particular, and it's that sort of quiet, subtle acting that she obviously excels at. She's not bad at playing the fun drunk either. It's not the performance that's worthy of criticism here, it's the role she was told to perform. On the strength of this performance alone, she is one of the most talented actors currently cursed with playing a superhero, a task she's not obviously suited to, but a task that, I think, with better writing, she is capable of.
Initially, what I thought about playing a superhero, I was a bit like, what, me? Like, I don't know if I, as Millie, can do that. And then a couple weeks later, they basically called me and were like, can you come to Atlanta to do a screen test? And I've never done a screen test before, so that whole process was very daunting, but it was a very, very dark room. So I kind of, in my anxious blur, like shook everyone's hand and then immediately forgot what was happening. I was visiting my family back home in Australia, and I awoke to a WhatsApp from James Gunn, and he sent me a Deadline article, which was cool, but I was also like, call me. Like, like, okay. Now I'm just like, oh, well, what do I do now? I think that for me, the most complex were the days when I would get to work and I would be taught it on the spot. They would give me 20 minutes, like sometimes 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. They would teach you a sequence, like on the spot. We're very fortunate that we shot pretty chronologically. So all of the stunts at the start of the film, I had rehearsed in stunt training for, a couple weeks. So I felt very confident with those. But then as time went on, I didn't have time. They didn't have time to teach me these big sequences. So I would get to work and have to learn everything like 10, 15 minutes before we would roll. So that was very stressful, but very fun. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but at the end of the film, there's a big sequence of me fighting in my glorious suit, and pretty much everything that I do in that suit, I was taught on the day. All the fight was on the day. It was a lot.
And let's have none of this nonsense about her being unattractive as a person, or really even in the role. There's much more to be said for the upper reaches of normalcy than there is for manufactured perfection. Her teeth are in the top 0.1% of those you'll find in anyone living in Britain. In a more demure, understated, almost vulnerable role, she's got the attributes to be very pretty, just not in a vacuous sex bomb kind of way. Again, the character she's told to play is unattractive. The predominantly male audience is a bit fed up of being told that they need to raise their standards, while the mere suggestion of holding women to any standard at all is deemed sexist and wrong. So I suspect quite a bit of the visceral online reaction to Millie or cock and to this movie is motivated by a much broader cultural frustration. It's a kind of lashing out. The frustration is real, the target is merely expedient. Supergirl is not remarkably bad by the standards of modern superhero movies, but it is another straw on the camel's back, and the camel is justifiably pissed off at this point. Interestingly, on the subject of Millie Cock herself, the most objectionable things she's said are those that make her more actor, less human. And so we do need to say a word about the media coverage, which has stoked the very backlash it now complains about. The first offending comment was that generic Hollywood pod speak about ownership of women's bodies. The quote itself actually comes near the end of quite a long Vanity Fair interview that, for the most part, makes all cock seem uncommonly endearing. Here is a girl with no industry contacts, who was earning a living washing dishes and sending audition tapes from the small attic bedroom she lived in at her single mother's house. She's not some well-connected, loud-mouthed, egotistical nepo baby who shops her ego to the press like some slack-mouthed, narcissistic hooker.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's actually quite normal, maybe not particularly bright. She's a high school dropout, as she admits herself she never did well in school, but she does seem to have a fairly high level of emotional intelligence, which also got her in a bit of trouble.
Discussion online about Kara's queerness in the comics, was that something that you explored when you were preparing for the role?
It wasn't, but in honor of Pride Month, as I'm getting all these questions,
I don't know. I think that what makes this film so beautiful is that it's not centered around a man. It's not centered around love at all.
Exactly.
If anything.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't really know, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
great.
She'd probably go both ways.
That was clearly meant as a joke for the benefit of the interviewer. One of the downsides of having no connections or familial experience to draw on is that you don't have the training to realize that everything you say to an interviewer is a statement to millions of faceless people online. I don't think we should be too harsh on her for this clip in particular. One of the most egregious things about the lefty cancel mobs that ran rampant across the internet for the first half of the 2020s was how humorless they were, taking everything with autistic literalism because it excused them whipping up a cancellation campaign and raised them up their purity spiral. It might be inevitable, but it'd still be a shame if the response was everybody else deciding that even the attempt at a joke deserves a full-throated moral condemnation. But back to that Vanity Fair interview. It was one of, it may even have been the first, such sit-down interview Millie Alcock had done. So when the journalist quite late on in the interview opts for the bait question, how will you deal with the inevitable sexist backlash, she said what she thinks actors are supposed to say and what she thinks the journalist will want to hear. It definitely made me aware that simply existing as a woman in that space is something that people comment on. We have become very comfortable having this weird ownership of women's bodies, she says. I can't really stop them, I can only be myself. It doesn't really mean anything, does it? It's a conformity signal, it's not an argument. It's extremely non-specific, the kind of waffle you read in a high school essay when the student isn't really engaging with the question. And the last bit, I can't really stop them, I can only be myself, actually contains the grains of the right answer in it. People will be people. I'm just doing my thing. Then enter Variety. Variety does something a little bit scummier than that. Having noted the initial backlash and understanding that backlash is great for clicks, they bring the subject up again. I didn't even say men, I said people, Cock says. And they got so angry, I was like, you're proving my point, you're proving my point. All Cock even understands, sort of, where these base urges originate, the article says, with the world as unstable and terrifying as it is now. Governments don't have anybody's best interests at heart, and people turn to online forums to find that guidance, she says. It just creates an unhealthy relationship with a person who will eventually and inevitably disappoint their fans. I guess women know that this is just how it's always been, unfortunately, all Cock adds, and it's from a lot of people whose profiles have no photo, who are burner accounts or someone's name and then dad of 4 Christian, which is hilarious to me, but I mean, whose opinion do you really care about? If you're pissing the right kind of people off, you're doing okay. Once again, a kernel of truth. The parasocial element of fandom does exist and is often unhealthy. Again, though, the conformity signal, oh yeah, this is just what it's like to be a woman, am I right? And then again, the unfortunate attempt at a joke. The intent isn't actually to disparage genuine Christian dads of 4, it's to point out the hypocrisy in people with that in their Twitter bio acting terribly on Twitter. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows what she's trying to say when you read it in that context, because everybody knows people whose Twitter bios don't match up with their behavior. Just think how many vicious, vengeful, spiteful little shits like to brag about their kindness and their compassion. How many Christians fail even the most basic tenets of their faith in a bid to con their audience into believing they're full of virtue? How many self-proclaimed socialists will defend extraordinary wealth inequality so long as they're the ones with the mansions? But anyone with even a modicum of media training or pattern recognition knew that this was an extremely stupid thing to say because it gave Variety a headline. And oh boy, did Variety push that headline. Variety knows, everybody knows, that most people only ever look at the headline. So rather than the nice human interest story, the girl who comes from nothing and makes her way all the way to Hollywood, we got weeks of Supergirl star blames men for X, Supergirl star insults Christian dads, and so on. Peter Safran, co-chair of DC Studios, has been in the industry a long time. It was his job, and James Gunn's job to help prepare all for the media climate they had lifted her into, and Safran in particular did entirely the wrong thing. From that Variety interview again, when Safran noticed the outsized flare-up over all remark, he reached out. I called her and I just said, "You're doing great, you're handling it beautifully. You're never going to make everybody happy, just be true to yourself," he says. And I really do think she's handling it well. I would also recommend don't wallow in it never makes you feel good. But she wasn't handling it beautifully. She said a couple of inadvisable things and was being routinely exploited by news outlets that had the gall to complain about the backlash they were instrumental in creating. And rather than give sage advice, Safran said, "Nah, it's cool, you just keep doing your thing, you go girl." I'd say we should castrate male feminists, but nature got there first. The point of all of this is to say that Millie Alcock is extremely talented. She actually has a nice and uplifting personal story. Unlike the Ziegler creature, her mistakes are relatively small and they have to be prompted.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
Darling, I wouldn't fucking piss on you if you were fucking allergic to piss, right?
And they seem to result from her trying to be agreeable rather than her being, by her very nature, a
I'm a narcissist.
Yes, she said silly things, but most young women say silly things, and it's the job of older and more responsible people to help them manage the costs of fame, especially if, again, they have not been born to it. The media manipulated her, and her studio failed to correct her, and she was plonked in possibly the worst movie at the worst possible time. I still hope she has a long and successful career. But all of this was, in any case, overblown. Supergirl did not fail because Millie Alcock was being a bit of a cock, nor did it fail because it's an appalling movie. That certainly didn't help, but you cannot blame the movie's quality when people don't show up on the first day. That is in large part a failure of marketing. All the trailers emphasized the things we're most sick of seeing in these movies and hid the only things that made Supergirl an even slightly interesting proposition. The huge marketing splurge targeted exactly the wrong demographic because Hollywood studios still haven't learned to accept a basic reality. Superhero movies are a predominantly male genre, always have been, and they always will be. Even the most commercially successful female-led superhero movies never achieve more than parity. Wonder Woman's audience was 52% female, Captain Marvel was 46% female. This has very little to do with the quality of the movies on offer. The sex line split is so uniform that it suggests innate differences. Women sometimes show up for these movies, men always show up for these movies. Nor have studios learned basic maths. Around 40% of the audience for Avengers Endgame was female. If the entirety of Supergirl's audience had been female, more women would have watched Avengers Endgame. You get more women into theaters if you get more people into theaters in general. Men will take their girlfriends to movies they like because they want to share their interests. Girlfriends will show up to things that their boyfriends are interested in. Women are much less likely to show up to superhero movies in particular when movies target them at the expense of men. Supergirl's marketing went all in on Gen Z girls. Per Deadline, the demographic breakdown of the eventual audience was 41% men over 25, 26% women over 25, 18% men under 25, 15% women under 25. Not only did they slightly miss their targeted demographic was the lowest presenting of all demographics. That is an appalling result, and it reveals as lies and cope all those people who pin Supergirl's failure on men and sexism. Maybe if you spent less time doing gesture politic on Twitter and more time showing up for the things you say you like, the things you say you like would be more successful, you dumb fucks. But circling around all of this like the turd that just won't flush is James Gunn. This was his idea. He picked the slate. He made a dogshit Superman movie.
Brain beats fraud! What a!
One of the worst superhero movies ever made. And he thought, yeah, we'll follow this up with Supergirl. Supergirl can be our second entry in the DCU. We greenlit it because the script was solid. It wasn't always going to be this way, but Gunn has a habit of running his mouth quicker than reality can keep up with.
So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. The next project up is Waller. This is the story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. Next is a big movie called The Authority. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about.
He treats the truth about as kindly as Harvey Weinstein treated all those actresses, allegedly, and at least they got jobs at the end of it. James Gunn worsens people's employment prospects every time he opens his mouth. Supergirl was simply never going to do the numbers, even before he hired an unproven writer, even before he hired an unfit director, even before he started meddling in the project. Supergirl was toast. The character lacks latent mass appeal, and using that Superman movie as your springboard is like diving off a plank made of shit into a pool full of piss. Next up is Clayface. Clayface has a chance of succeeding because it's about $100 million cheaper to make than Supergirl, and it's a project James Gunn has stolen from the much more successful universe being created by Matt Reeves. It still makes absolutely no sense as your third DCU movie, but as a seemingly disconnected horror flick in a climate where those are very successful, you could see it making more, or at least losing a lot less, than either Superman or Supergirl. But beyond that, we have a rushed Man of Tomorrow for which there is now no buzz whatsoever. We have Lanterns, currently distinguished only by the fact that it is not even green. We have, reportedly, a Mr. Terrific TV series, and there is a real chance that the first pitch Paramount receives from James Gunn after the merger is a Jimmy Olsen and Gorilla Grodd show. As somebody pointed out, it's like he's making MCU Phase 4 content in Phase 1. For all this, James Gunn should be promptly fired. Out of the nearest window, preferably. It'll be exquisitely embarrassing, and it won't go unnoticed if the Batman Part 2 outperforms anything in the DCU. In that case, Matt Reeves' universe will have 2 well-received movies and an excellent TV show within it, while the James Gunn universe will have the lingering stench of the last flatulent bubble to burst from his mouth. It couldn't have happened to a more annoying person. That's all for this one, folks. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.